This is the part 2 of the recent cultural anime recap. The main character is also known as the NTR man, and he have dark magic that can do hypnosis. On the kendo clubroom, the NTR man was doing some backyard applause with Sakura, and they were letting the club members watch to gain some educational knowledge from it. Then the NTR man planted the seeds of NTR into her backyard garden. The NTR man visited Sakura's house, because it was for their home counseling session. This lady is the mother of Sakura and her name was Tsubaki. Beside her was the father, and introduction is not needed. By the way, all of them in this house were all affected by the NTR man's hypnosis powers. Suddenly, the NTR man got attracted by Sakura's beautiful mother, and he was enjoying the view of watching her cakes bouncing physics while she walks away. Later that night, the NTR man invited Sakura's mother to help her daughter during her home counseling session. He was using his cheap tricks again, and he was making her believe that it was common sense to do a live show performance in front of her daughter, so that her daughter can learn some real-life tutorial from her experienced mother. After the hypnosis, mommy was now willing to become a balloon inflated by NTR man, for the sake of her daughter's learning. Then it was time to have some night study session, and the daughter was watching with passion. The NTR time begin with a martial arts technique of the 69,000 gulp orientation. Meanwhile, Sakura cannot process her brain cells while watching her mother's professional level tutorial, so she decided to play a single-player virtual reality through her imagination, and she was envious of her mother having all the NTR time for herself. The NTR man started his clapping exercise, and it was necessary for a cholesterol guy like him, in order to lose weight. Eventually her mother was embracing the NTR culture, and we all know that this is a crime. However, the NTR man was protected by the plot armor from his author, so the NTR man doesn't care about the law, and gave her mother liters of his NTR trans fat milk. After that, the NTR man asked the mommy to become the pilot and ride on the Iron Pegasus. She was an excellent pilot, and the method she was using was similar the way she have vanilla moments with her husband to create Sakura. Then the NTR man gave her the second dose of his unhealthy calcium, and she was knocked down from the battle. Next, the NTR man used his special skill and restored his stamina again. He was not weak in terms of cultural activity, because his belly is a tank of milk, so it was time for Sakura to have her share of that milk. After a while, the mother of Sakura woke up, and she saw her daughter imitating her Iron Pegasus ride. Her daughter have no originality, so she wanted to give her daughter a copyright claim. However, her daughter was just applying what she learned from her mother a while ago. Then she became proud of her daughter being a fast learner. Anyways, the NTR man planted his special gardening seeds, and Sakura wanted it all. The next day the NTR man come again to their house, to have a 3-player gaming session. She was enjoying the illegal NTR moments, and she was comparing it to her husband's average gameplay. She was also cheering her daughter, and she wanted her daughter to become an extreme woman of culture like her. Meanwhile, the NTR man asked Sakura if she wanted him to release all of his nutrients to her mother. Sakura don't want her mother to solo all the nutrients, so she offered her unholy sanctuary to the NTR man. Meanwhile, the husband was knocking on the door. He was asking his wife to make breakfast, and he was also calling Sakura, because she would be late for class. However, his wife don't want her husband to disturb their 3-player playing session, so she commanded her husband to do it himself, or also known as DIY breakfast.
That right there is emotional damage.
The mother was prioritizing their 3-player playing session, because it can give them a valuable knowledge. The husband was getting the NTR treatment in real time, and he can't do anything about it, because of the ugly bastard's hypnosis magic. Anyways, the NTR time reached its conclusion, and the NTR man was able to successfully make the 2 ladies into a stage 1 inflated balloon. Then they thanked him for the counseling session. On the next scenario, the NTR man was doing his home counseling again. This time he was visiting Yui's house, and he was greeted by her mother named Natsumi. However, Yui was not around the house, so her mother would show the NTR man some hospitality management. They went to the bedroom, and the NTR man was observing the interior design, because he was also a fan of architecture. Suddenly, the NTR man told her that it is also necessary to have an inspection on the mother too, because this would be helpful for their daughter's counseling session.
What?
This is a plain bullshit logic. However, she was willing to cooperate, because she was affected by the NTR man's hypnosis ability. Then she opened her special pathway, and showed that to him. The NTR man did some inspection, and asked her how often she practiced culture. She only plays a solo player game once every 2 weeks, and her husband have not watered her flower garden for the past 3 months, because her husband was always tired. So the NTR man will replace that loneliness, and literally gave her a helping hand. She was complimenting him, because he was skillful in terms of handicrafts. Then the NTR man unleashed his gaming rod, and asked for her favorite gameplay style. Her favorite gameplay style was bunny hopping, so the NTR man let her do her bunny hopping playstyle with him. Then she used her married woman skills. To his surprise, she was actually an expert, because before she was married she gathered tons of experience points from different kinds of men. Despite being skillful, she cannot easily defeat the NTR man's unlimited stamina, and it was already late afternoon, yet, his gaming rod was still ready to play more. The gaming exercise was taking a lot of energy, so she replenished by drinking some NTR cholesterol-rich milkshake. She thought that he was done, because his rod was becoming low battery. The NTR man have pride, so he used his unlimited stamina, and gave her more NTR moments. After that, she told him that he can come to her anytime he needed assistance. In a high-rise building, the NTR man was invited for an interview. She was Reina's mother, and she wanted to know his relationship to her daughter, because a while ago she caught them playing a two-player game. Reika was lecturing her daughter, because she have a poor taste in men. She was not wrong here, because the NTR man was disgusting from both inside and outside, and he was a complete garbage. The NTR man explained the situation, and told her mother that he was only doing an educational counseling session to her daughter. She was not buying any of his bullshit statement, because his statement is literally insane. Then she started her rage mode after hearing all of his counseling explanation. However, the NTR man was also Thanos, and by the snap of his finger he was able to activate his hypnosis instantly, and made her believe that his counseling was just a common sense knowledge. After everything was cleared up, Reina wanted to take the main character out of the scenario. But suddenly, her mother stopped them, because she wanted to test his skills if he was a worthy educational counselor for her daughter's cultural learning.
Perfect.
A few moments later.
Then she played the feeding frenzy game, and the NTR man gave her a share of trans fat milkshake. She started her review session, and she concluded that he got a premium fat meat, and the amount of his nutrients qualify to her high-level standards. However, she was not contented yet, so she will test him more by riding on the Iron Pegasus. Then suddenly she became speechless, because he have an amazing rod. The NTR man wanted to claim that he already passed her test. However, she was not willing to concede defeat, because she wanted to prove that he was not a worthy counselor for her daughter. Eventually, she was able to easily defeat him after a single explosion battle. She walked away with her march of victory, but before she was able to open the door and leave, the NTR man grabbed her from behind, and showed her his true powers. It turns out the NTR man was a fan of hiding his true powers, and let the enemies fuck around and find out. He gave her a backyard applause, and demonstrated his serious mode. After a while, she was not giving up, but her resistance did not last after receiving a balloon making seeds. The NTR man heard some gaming sounds behind the door. It was Reina, and she was playing a solo game, so he invited her to come inside and play with him. In the last episode, the main character gathered up all the boys in the gym storage room. This lady is named Misao, and she was surrounded by the boys exposing their standing sacred relic to her. A few days ago, it was her turn to have a counseling session. She was not ready to do this kind of culture, so she averted the topic, and told the main character that he should find a much cuter lady than her. He was very honest, and directly told her that he uses her as his educational material for his solo gaming. Aside from that, he enjoys her carelessness when she unconsciously flashes her under armor. Then the main character continued complimenting her. She was happy with his compliments, so she let him do his special counseling to her. The main goal of her counseling was to make her realize that she was a charming woman. After their clapping exercise, she insisted that there won't be any man who would want a girl like her. She was not willing to accept that she was an attractive woman, so the main character made her realize that her beliefs are false. Back to the present timeline, and the boys were watching her. She wanted to back out from this, because she was not brave enough to become the object of their worship. They have already gone this far, so the main character continued, and exposed the melons for everyone's eyesight. It was embarrassing, so she was covering it with her hands. She thought that the guys would be picky, however, she was wrong, and it seems like they were interested. So, she let them see the front yard melons that she was farming for years. She realized that she was the main character at this moment, because the boys were turning her into a live educational material for a solo gaming. Then the main character showed to everyone how he performed a clapping game with her. However, the boys were only allowed to become an audience and play with themselves. After that, the main character let the boys gave her a baby shower celebration. This short woman named Yu is older than the main character, and she was much older than a legal age. She was requested by him to undergo his educational counseling session. She never dated anyone, and when she get love confessions, she turns into the ice princess and rejects everyone. It was a pain in the ass for her to date someone, because she was an introvert. Aside from that, she would rather get her afternoon nap than waste time dating. By the way, she was a popular lady because of her beauty. She was nicknamed as the Sleeping Beauty, since she always slept most of the time. The main character was not picky with his counseling, and he was willing to share his knowledge to her. He will teach her about the benefits of having a boyfriend. Then he started by doing an inspection on her tiny sanctuary. He reduced the power of friction by using his own self-made anti-friction fluid, and gave her the thrust of destruction. After a while, she was releasing the crystal clear mineral water from the underground cave, and she was enjoying this very educational counseling from him. He was happy to give her experience, so to congratulate her first-time graduation ceremony, he donated liters of premium low-cholesterol milkshake in her tiny sanctuary. Next, the main character started using her like an unholy item for boys' solo gaming training. After that events, she regularly visits the main character's apartment every day for her daily dose of white nutrient injection. He told her to get a boyfriend, so she won't bother coming to his place every day. However, she don't want that kind of hassle, and she wanted to settle on his rod. Her guidance was already over, but she wanted more of that fresh and fatty milkshakes. That's the end of this weird cultural anime recap, and thanks for watching. Here is your research material, and please use it wisely, because it is for the safety of your own dignity.